If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and cakes in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausage, beef hot dogs, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger.
Are you tired of going to the doctor with the same issue over and over again and never getting any relief? Are you tired of buying all types of vitamins and supplements, hoping but not knowing for sure that they will keep you healthy? Or are you getting enough of the right kind of nutrients that your specific body needs? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you need a nutritional blood analysis. With a nutritional blood analysis, we can take one drop of blood from a prick of your finger and analyze your body's nutritional needs, nutritional deficiencies, and nutritional imbalances. This analysis can provide an early warning of possible future health challenges so you can make changes now to avoid a negative outcome. A nutritional blood analysis can be used to monitor a health challenge before and after adopting an approach to restore health and balance. It will also allow you the ability to determine the effectiveness of various approaches to restoring and balancing your health. So don't wait. Make your appointment. Stop guessing with your health. Know what works for sure. 901-602-7063.
Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full-color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30-plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Graphic Printing. CJU's Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances has the best prices in town. Sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks, I'm telling you, they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJU's Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranty. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances. C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Southern Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. C&S Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris Day for some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at C&S Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Summer Avenue, C&S Motors Auto Sales.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, here to explain the Tennessee Hands-Free Law, which is a new state law effective July 1st, 2019. In Public Chapter 412, it makes it illegal for a driver to hold a cell phone or a mobile device with any part of their body, to write, send, or read any text-based communication, to reach for a cell phone or mobile device in a manner that requires the driver to no longer be in a seated driving position or properly restrained by a seatbelt. to watch a video or a movie on a cell phone or a mobile device, and to record or broadcast video on a cell phone or mobile device. So, can I still talk on my cell phone while driving? Yes. A driver is permitted to use an earpiece, headphone device, or device worn on a wrist to conduct a voice-based communication. The driver may use one button on a cell phone or mobile device to initiate or terminate voice communication, and voice-based communication may also be used to send a text message. Learn more at handsfreetn.com.
Good morning and welcome to Talk Back Live in the morning. It is now 8:03. Yes, indeed. 3 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock Central Time, and a very pleasant good morning to you on a Monday morning. Yes, a lovely, wonderful Monday morning, and starting your day off at 46 degrees. 46 degrees, yes. 46 degrees under a mostly sunny sky. A beautiful day to start your day on a Monday morning. Yes, and I tell you what, we have a great show lined up for you today. Hot topics of discussion, news that you could use, local, national, international. And the number to call is 901-213-6020. Again, the number to call is 901-213-6020. And also, you can hit us up on the Spreaker app. We're live and sounding strong on the Spreaker app this morning across the country. And that's the Spreaker, R-E-A-K-E-R. And just like speaker, but it's Spreaker. Yeah. Mm-hmm. S-P-R-E-A-K-E-R. Free download on the mobile device or all your computers. And then you could search Talk Back Live. One word, Talk Back Live all together. And then hit the star to remind you that of any show that comes on live on our Talkback Live network, you will be notified. All right. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Bob. Good morning, everybody out there listening, watching, tuning in, and all that this morning. Another great show we got lined up for you today on this Monday morning, man. Mm-hmm. Ready to get it popping, cracking, rolling, kicking, jumping, screaming, yelling, all that stuff on this Monday morning. Mm-hmm. So, man, we appreciate y'all for all the tuning in and watching and listening and everything that you're doing on this Monday morning. So, without any further ado, I'm going to get to the social media so you guys can know how to follow everything related to the show. You can follow us on Twitter at TalkBackLive. That's one word, at TalkBackLive. Mm-hmm. Facebook, Facebook.com, TalkBackLive with Bob and Josh. Like our Facebook page if you haven't already. Check us out. We're approaching 700 likes, so let's keep the train rolling. Also, like our other Facebook pages as well, WTBL Talkback Live Network, and Talkback Live Network Singular as well. So just go like that page as well, man. And we're almost around 2,000 likes total with all of those pages, not including Twitter. So definitely appreciate y'all for for tuning in and for participating and supporting our social media pages. So, Bob and everybody out there, without further ado, let's get it on.
All right, let's start it all off. It is now 8:06, 6 minutes past the hour, 8 o'clock Central Time, and a very pleasant good morning to you on a Monday morning, and let's get it rolling. Headlines today, we got well, it's been a long weekend across America and across the Mid-South, and we not only just talk about news locally here in where we are, we talk about news from all over the country. And a lot of you that have been listening and following us, you know that by now, but there's some big news again out of Texas this morning, and we're going to be talking about that. Also, there's some news right here in Shelby County, Tennessee, Memphis, that is. We're going to be sharing that as well. And, well, let's talk about it. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's talk about it. All right, and Josh, in the news today, everyone, out of Dallas, Texas. No. Well, Dallas, Fort Worth. Yeah. Let's say Fort Worth, Texas, to be precise. There is another shooting. A Fort Worth police officer has shot and killed another person in their home. Josh, what is going on with this story?
Yeah, Fort Worth in Dallas area is getting all too familiar with what happened this weekend, man. What happened, really what's been happening with police involving these folks, man. So I don't even know what to say. But first of all, this has happened at a house this time, not an apartment. It was a woman, evidently, according to the police, and we'll let the story explain a lot of it. But according to the police, they were there for a wellness check, of all things. Yeah. And it ended up in the death of an unarmed black woman in her own house. That was playing video games with her nephew. And the last thing they expected was something like this to go down. So, very unfortunate story.
But the police were called to her house.
Yeah.
So, to check on her, and then, well, another shooting in Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth area, by the police of an unarmed individual, well, in their own home.
Yeah.
And, Josh, let's play the story, and then we'll talk about it. Good morning, everybody coming in, and let's talk about it. And, yes, the Tigers, in some sense, were robbed this weekend. We'll maybe give a chance to talk about that as well this morning. All right, Josh, whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it rolling. 901-213-6020 is the number to call. You can leave a message on Facebook with a lot of you coming in already. And take a listen to this.
Live from South Victory, this is WFAA News.
Well, another police shooting in North Texas is making national headlines. An officer in Fort Worth shot and killed a woman in her own home. Welcome to WFAA News at 5:30. I'm Chris Lawrence. The community is demanding answers for Tatiana Jefferson's death. And in the last 30 minutes, Fort Worth PD updated us on the investigation. WFAA's Bradley Blackburn joins us live. Bradley, kind of wondering why they called this, because
Chris, this press conference was far shorter than we imagined, just a couple minutes long, and many of the facts that they went over they had already shared in a press release that was put out yesterday. But this was the first time that this department has appeared before cameras following this incident, and they did confirm things. First, they said they confirmed what the family's attorney had already told us, that Tatiana Jefferson's 8-year-old nephew was with her in the room when she was shot and killed. And they also confirmed that when officers arrived at that home for a welfare check, they did not announce their presence. They did not verbally say that they were police. Police did release the body cam from this incident yesterday, and it shows the responding officers looking through an open door and going along the side of a building. And then that moment, just less than 2 seconds, when the officer said, gave his verbal command and then pulled the trigger. But at no time did he say who, and he never said that he was police. Police did tell us that why that happened and why this officer felt threatened will be addressed during an investigation. Let's listen to some of what Fort Worth Police told us just a few minutes ago.
The officer observed a person through a rear window in the residence and fired a shot at that person. The officer did not announce that he was a police officer prior to shooting. What the officer observed and why he did not announce police will be addressed as the investigation continues.
There are more questions than answers at this point. Fort Worth Police wrapped up this press conference pretty quickly. Initially, they had told us they weren't even going to take questions today, but then they opened the floor for questions. I did ask if they could explain why this officer felt threatened, if he had been threatened with a gun in any way. The department released 2 images of a weapon they say was found in the home, but police declined to answer my question as to why they released those images of the gun if they can't say whether the officer was threatened with it. Now, they wrapped it up quickly, but they did say that the police chief Krause, will appear at a press conference tomorrow to answer additional questions. The officer involved in this is also scheduled to be interviewed case unit tomorrow. So we are hoping to be able to ask more questions and get more answers from Fort Worth Police. But again, to confirm what they told us, the limited amount that they told us in this press conference today, this officer never explained who he was before he pulled the trigger. And we know that Tatiana Jefferson's 8-year-old nephew was with her when she was shot and killed. Chris, back to you.
All right, Bradley. Yeah, thank God that little boy is okay. And hopefully by tomorrow we get this officer's name. Thank you.
All right. What do you think, folks? Was this officer threatened? Now it's turned from a welfare check. Now it's turned from a welfare check to an officer threatened. I don't understand this. I mean, they were called to the scene, and Josh, there's another clip we're going to play where the guy that called the officer to the scene was sorry that he even did so. And, you know, that's, he called them to the scene. A black guy called the officer to the scene. White officers came on the scene, and they said the front door to the place was open, but the officers went over the fence and decided to go in the backyard for some reason, and then saw the shadow through the window. And if they didn't know exactly who it was, why did they shoot? And the officer did not announce that he was at all. And so then he just shot and killed this black woman in her own home. So what is going on with all of that, folks?
This stuff is insane, man. Just point blank. And when you think about, this is what people talk about when they talk about, not trusting the police and things of that nature. Now, I know each situation is its own. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
it's got its own circumstances around it. But, what's interesting? What I've seen result from this is the fact that you got a lot of people, do I even still want to call the police anymore? Yeah. I'm surprised how much I still saw that. Because when people look at situations like this, let's say, and when you talk about a welfare check, right, let's just see if they're okay.
Right.
Either her or somebody else that knows them says, hey, can you just check on them for me? Make sure all is well, And that they were concerned for their lives per se, but they just wanted them to check on somebody.
Yeah.
And I don't know how in the world a situation like that can end up in the death of the person that they're supposed to check on.
Well, they felt threatened whatever, whoever was in the house.
That's ridiculous.
And they say they saw images of weapons. Images of weapons. Did they actually see weapons, or did they see just what they thought was an image of weapons? Is that good enough? Was the weapon in the person's hand? Why did he just said put your hands up and then shot about 2 seconds after he even announced that put their hands up? So
all I know is it's like, and I agree with you now, but all I know is it's bogus, and it's so ridiculous that, you know, to talk about this weapons crap. I don't believe that at all. I believe either they planted a weapon to show to the public some crap like that, or that they went in the house and maybe a gun that she owned was found somewhere, and they want to. But just the very fact, and this is what I don't like either, the very fact that the Fort Worth Police Department is not willing to answer the doggone question about whether she had a gun or not. Yeah. But yet, at the same time, they're going to show a picture of a gun that she might have had in her house. Mm. What are you insinuating? If you're going to say it, just say it.
Did she or didn't she?
That's what I'm saying.
And to just say an image, to me, a lot of times if they knew it was a gun in the house, they would say there was a gun there.
Exactly.
And to say that there's an image of a gun, I mean, to me, that just...
it's bogus.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. And plus, this officer has been on the force since, July of last year?
Yeah.
So he's but that's not an excuse. Officers are trained to do what they're supposed to do.
That may have been
and then not to even shoot. And he didn't even announce police officer on the scene. Didn't even announce that, and he just shot, and killed the lady in her own home. And without somebody even firing at him first, or even, they say he was threatened. Was the officer threatened? Do you think he was threatened? First of all, they came out to do a welfare check. Josh, do you have that up where the black guy was saying he was concerned and he called the police out to do a welfare check, and he hate he hate that he even called the police now. Is it getting to the point to where people hate to call the police out? Is that a sad, or is that a... I mean, when the other people, they feel that other people are threatened or something's going wrong, you're supposed to call the authorities out, the police out, to check in situations like that. But here in this particular situation, this guy is now feeling guilty for calling the police out.
Yeah. He
shouldn't feel that way. Well, because the officer comes out, and rather than doing a welfare check, he shoots and kills the homeowner, which is a black female, in the home, and and then now they're putting up there, he was threatened, his life was threatened, he was threatened for his life, or whatever the case may be. That's, we've heard that before. But anyway, 901-213-6020. Leaving your comments here on Facebook as well, also on Spreaker. And let's take a listen to this other news clip, and we'll be back after this. Take a listen to this.
It's about this case, and we have been working all day to find out what we can. This story begins on the East Allen Avenue. That is where our Eric Alvarez is live tonight to walk us through what happened.
Well, friends and family are understandably outraged tonight. They are demanding answers. They are demanding justice for that young woman who was shot and killed here inside her own home by a police officer that was called here to see if she needed help.
Put your hands up. Show me your hands.
A welfare check gone horribly wrong. In this body cam footage released by the Fort Worth Police Department, you do not hear the officer identify himself as he passes and steps through a gate into the backyard. sees a figure in a window, draws his gun, and fires, less than 3 seconds after demanding to see the person's hands. That person is 28-year-old A. Tatiana Jefferson, who lived in the home with her 8-year-old nephew.
The family is understandably brokenhearted.
Attorney Lee Merritt, who spoke to Jefferson's family, says the pair were playing video games early in the morning.
And they heard someone creeping around outside. She went to investigate at the window. An officer was on the other side who shouted commands, and before she had a moment to respond.
So how did this happen? Around 2:30 a.m. Saturday, Jefferson's neighbor noticed the door open and the lights on. He called a non-emergency line asking for police to perform a welfare check.
I'm still kind of broken and shocked.
James Smith tells WFAA officers parked around the corner, arrived at the house with no lights, no sirens, and did not announce their presence. He called police so they would make sure Jefferson and her nephew were safe. He never expected police to put them in danger.
They tell me I shouldn't feel bad, but I feel bad because had I not called the police department, she would probably still be alive today. So I do feel a little weight on me for that, making that call.
Fort Worth police have not released the name of the officer, but describe him as a white man who has been with the department since April of last year. The officer has been placed on administrative leave. The department says all of the evidence will be handed over to the district attorney's office to see if any criminal charges will follow.
And what friends, family, and neighbors are calling for tonight. I can tell you throughout the day, dozens of people have stopped by this house offering support to the family of that young woman, which they say had every right to be in her own home and posed no threat to that officer. Live in Fort Worth, I'm Eric Alvarez.
Eric, thank you. Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price sent out a statement in response to the shooting today, saying writing a statement like this is tragic and something that should never be necessary. A young woman has lost her life, leaving her family in unbelievable grief. All of Fort Worth must surround A. Tatiana Jefferson's family with prayers, love, and support. Chief Krause and his command staff are acting with immediacy and transparency to conduct a complete investigation. More details are forthcoming from the Tarrant County District Attorney Law Enforcement Incident Team office to receive this case.
Okay, what do you think, folks? Police officer jumps over the fence and into a lady's backyard in Fort Worth, Texas, and he was called for a welfare check, and the front door was open, but the storm door seemed like to me was closed. But the front door was open at that time of the morning. I guess they were concerned. So then the police officer, rather than going to the front door and ringing the door, knocking on the door, he jumps the fence into the backyard. So the lady and her nephew were playing video games. She hears footsteps outside in her backyard, and she goes to the window to take a look out, and in front of the window, police officer says, "Put your hands up," pow, pow, and shoots and kills the lady. So didn't announce that he was a police officer on the scene, and they did not come with their lights on or sirens. They parked around the corner rather than coming up. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of suspicious too. Why would you do something like that? And then come up and then climb over the fence into the backyard and shoot through the window, and shoot a person through the window, not knowing who it is. It could have, and it was the homeowner.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't see the person. All he saw was a figure of someone standing in the window, and he shoots. Is that what they train police officers to do? 9012136020. And thanks for your comments. We'll read your comments in just a second here on Facebook. And Josh, the officer said he was threatened, came in to perform a welfare check. And the chief of police says, in regards to the officer not saying who he was and introducing himself, that will be discussed and that will be a part of the investigation as well. Do you think this will be a fair investigation?
I think that's a good question. I think one of the things that needs to be talked about here is whether or not the Fort Worth Police Department should be investigating itself. Is that the right thing to be doing in this situation? Should somebody else come in and investigate the Fort Worth Police Department? Because what's essentially happening here is what's literally happening here is the Fort Worth Police Department is investigating their own wrongdoing.
Well, I think they say that somebody else is investigating, but should the FBI or I guess the Texas Bureau of Investigation, I guess that's what they call it, whatever, Texas Rangers or whoever, somebody should come in and be on this case rather than the Fort Worth Police Department. Now, having said that, Josh, this is the 9th shooting of the Fort Worth Police Department, the 9th shooting that they shot someone, 9 people this year.
Wow.
So far, they shot 9 people, and 7 of those people that they shot were killed, including this individual. They shot 9 people in Fort Worth. The police department have.
Yeah.
And 7 of those people that they shot, of the 9, were killed. That's not good, folks.
No, it's not.
And this makes people think twice about calling the police, or does it? And this guy that called the police for a welfare check of this individual in her home to find out what was going on, then they show up around the corner, didn't introduce him, no lights or sirens or anything, didn't introduce himself before shooting as a police officer. And this guy now says, oh, wow, I hate I even called the police now. Should a person feel that way? Should they feel that they hate that they called the police officer after the fact? And this is not looking good for Dallas area. You remember we just had another killing, a police officer killing an individual in his apartment. She thought was her apartment. She thought he was in her apartment.
Yeah.
And now, Dallas police come, Dallas Fort Worth police officer goes to a person's home, knowing it's not his home, but shoots an individual in her home just coming over to do a welfare check. It don't sound good. It doesn't look good.
Not at all, man. So it's one of those things. It's sad. It's another sad story. Now, here's the thing I'll bring up too. Is it fair to bring up race in this situation? Because, and I know it kind of is, because you already, you hear they bring up the fact that it's a white police officer and a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in all honesty, I can't help but think, and not that it does matter if it's particularly racist, but in this situation, to me, it sounds like the guy didn't even have enough time to see the woman, to know whether she's black or not.
Well, it all depends. It all depends on the community. It all depends on what community it was. Did he know that this was predominantly a black community?
Well, yeah.
Or did he know what? I mean, you have a black guy, I guess, out, and he sees the door open. He's concerned about what's going on in the home. He didn't know if the person was okay, so he calls the Fort Worth Police Department to come and do a welfare check.
Yeah.
They send them out, and they come out to do a check, and they don't even show up at the residence with their cars. They just park around the corner. No lights or anything. So then they come up and not knock on the front door. They go jump the fence. The guy jumped the fence and then sees a person standing in the window inside the home. And he pulls a gun and said, let me see your hand. Pop out. And about 1 or 2 seconds after he said, let me see your hand, he shoots, not knowing who it is, but guessing it may be a robber or somebody in the home that was threatening the homeowner. So, but without knowing and without seeing who it is, though, why would you shoot not knowing who it is? If there was a robber in the home or somebody in the home, you don't know if it was the window or the person standing in the window.
Yeah.
But the lady got up. She heard footsteps outside. It was the police officer in her backyard. She didn't know. So she goes to the window to check, and then, boom, she gets killed in her own home. And her nephew was there playing games with her, video games. He sees all of this unfolds right in front of him. How do you think that will affect this young child?
And see, that's another black young man is going to have that negative fear towards police officers. And that,
right.
Because of what happened. Here's a few comments here. Several has come in already. Kelly Reddick says, shaking my head, tragic story. He said, one of the main issues is why didn't they announce themselves? GKP says this is awful. Condolences and prayers go out to his family and her son, which is her nephew.
Well, let me go back a little further.
Yeah, I missed a couple.
Yeah, he says, Verdell says you can't say she was unarmed, then come back and claim it was a image of a gun out of nowhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then he says, if he didn't announce himself as an officer, could she have felt threatened? Could she have felt threatened her own self?
Absolutely. Look.
Yeah, well, that's why she went to the window to check. I'm pretty sure she was concerned about hearing footsteps out in her yard, and she didn't know the police was called. This was a concerned citizen that called the police for her.
Yeah.
So when she hears footsteps in her backyard, police should not do. Why would they climb the fence and into a person's backyard if you're called to the residence? Why not go to the front door and ring the doorbell or knock on the door and then announce police, or whatever? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why jump the fence? I don't understand that.
Why are you sneaking around the house?
Yeah.
I understand looking around, but I mean, just go to the door.
Go to the door. If you don't get any answers or anything, then
you look
then
around.
There's probable cause to be suspicious or to look around or to check carefully, but you don't shoot individuals. I mean, right away.
Especially they don't know you're there.
Yeah, if they don't know you're there. I mean, wow, this is terrible, folks. Again, out of Dallas, Fort Worth area in Texas, we have another shooting by police officers in the very vicinity where it was in Dallas, now it's in Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on in Dallas?
And see, this is the second straight situation where a black person is killed in their own house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In their own home, not doing nothing. The only thing is, I guess the doors being unlocked. This is not a good thing to be happening.
Well, what time was it? Did they know what time? It must have been pretty late.
Yeah, it was like 9 at night, something like that.
Well, 9 at night. I mean, a person. I mean, they looked like the storm door was closed.
Yeah.
To me, and pretty sure the storm door was locked. But if a person's door is still open at that hour,
and they can see the light,
and they can see the light in their house, I don't think around jumping fences at a person's home.
Yeah.
And and then it's just 8 or 9 o'clock or what 10. I don't understand that. But first of all, I think it's appropriate that they would knock or ring the doorbell.
Yeah, and see, and man, so many comments coming in. I'm glad you read those. I'm gonna go to the next ones here because those you read I couldn't see, so that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie says, "Good morning, good Monday morning. This incident, along with the Botham Jean case, makes you wonder if it is open season on black people. This is very scary to think that you can be home minding your own business and end up dead at the hands of the police."
Yeah, that's very serious. I mean, thinking about where you live and where I live, got a fence around the house here. I mean, somebody called the police to my house and instead of just coming to my door and ringing the doorbell or whatever, where I can see you,
mm-hmm.
you're going to go around, you're going to jump my fence?
Yeah, and looking in
windows. And because, why? What are you, and then I'm going to think that, hey, what's going on in my backyard?
Yeah.
And how did someone get in my fence? So at that point, Bradell, I guess a person would jump on the defense if they hear somebody in their backyard, not knowing that the police was called to the residence.
Well, here's another thing that was said. Man, it's some good information y'all providing. Before I get to that last one Frankie did after I'm continue in order here.
Yeah.
Kelly said, wow, 9. Well, you said 9 shootings.
Yes, 9 shootings this season.
Yeah.
This year so far, 9 people have been shot by the Fort Worth Police Department, and 7 of those 9 have been killed.
And that's not counting Dallas.
Yeah, that's not Dallas. That's just Fort Worth.
That's just Fort Worth.
Yeah.
He says, I plan on going to Fort Worth in March for the Tigers basketball conference tournament. Yeah, that's right. It is there.
Mm-hmm.
Later, in 2020. He said, makes you want to change your mind, he says.
Yeah.
Frankie says, what pisses me off is that they showed the image of a gun trying to make you believe she was holding a gun. And that is the reason why she was killed.
Wow. But it still doesn't make sense, though. Why would he even go to the window in the first place?
Yeah,
why in the backyard? Why jump the fence?
And then the last comment here, which is interesting.
Yeah.
She says the police arrived around 2:25 a.m.
Oh, okay. 2:25 a.m. Well, it is kind of makes you wonder why a door is open at that particular time of the night. But
well, I mean, still, like,
but still,
now,
but still, you know, I think a police officer should knock or ring the front door if they see the door is open.
Yeah,
you know, they should. I mean, how are you going to determine who's in the house unless you come through the front door? If the front door is unlocked, if the storm door is unlocked, then you can make your way in the house or just open the door and then announce police. Anybody in the home? Anybody here? Can we help you? Whatever.
It's that something was going on because, you know, like I said, around the corner, whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
Sneak up to the house. It almost seems like they were anticipating something. Mm-hmm. You know, like they were anticipating to be met by something. They anticipated that, hey,
how would they
I don't know.
Feel that they were just called out for a welfare check?
I don't know.
That doesn't, to me, doesn't make sense. You know,
no.
I could see if somebody said, "Hey, there's shots being fired in this particular area, this residence."
Somebody screamed,
something like that, and hey, somebody need to come out and check. You know, and I could understand. That wasn't, announced for them to come out and do a welfare check.
Yeah.
Then instead of going to the door and like they should have done and ring the knock on the door, they go and jump the fence into the lady's backyard, and then she hears footsteps. She steps up to the window to try to look out and see what she hear, and then she's fired and killed. That doesn't make sense. And the police officer, he just said, "Put your hands up, pow, pow, pow." I mean, that doesn't make sense.
It's insane, man.
Ray, good morning. Welcome to the show. Good morning on a Monday.
Bob and Josh, y'all got a good psychiatrist? Because I need one.
We don't know about that right now, but what's on your mind?
Well, my Cowboys lost, and I know you guys feel.
Hey, Ray, are you on the show?
No, I got. When my nephew, he only stayed like a couple of hours and gone.
Okay, you'll be able to listen to the show, and when you call in, you'll be on topic. And we're talking about the situation in Dallas that happened over the weekend. The lady was shot in her own home.
Fort Worth.
By Fort Worth. In Fort Worth, she was shot in her own home by a Fort Worth police officer and killed. Because they were called there for a welfare check, man. I mean, this is the second killing by a police officer. Well, let's put it this way. This is a police officer that killed the man in his own apartment in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now we have a shooting now in Fort Worth, Texas. But this is the ninth shooting. 9 people have been shot in Fort Worth, and 7 of those 9 this year that have been shot were killed by the police. And
yes.
So what do you think, Ray?
What do you think?
Well, they scared, Bob. They got to do more training or get somebody with a heart. You know, if you scared, then you can't effectively do your job.
Is it that they're really scared or afraid, or is it that somebody said on Facebook that it seems like that is open season on black people by police officers?
Yeah.
Is that really? But hey, what do you think? What do you think?
Well, I know how scared I am sometimes with my own black people when they used to come to that hospital, brother. You know what I mean? You bust through that ER and you carrying knives and you got a gun and you trying to do your shift 3 o'clock, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, sir.
It's not easy because you don't know. I mean, yesterday I talked to one of my former nurses named Donna, and she picked up a jacket that had an open needle in it. She got picked.
Oh my
and she
goodness.
got AIDS.
Oh.
Yeah. So so that's what I'm saying. Everybody goes through different type of trauma.
Yeah, that's sad.
Right. Everybody is different, Bob, when they go through stuff. I mean, we had a giant Puerto Rican pick up one of those IV poles, swinging it like a baseball bat. What do you do?
Yeah.
I offered the boy some beans and rice. I said, let me get you some beans and rice, man. Calm down. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, Bob. What are you supposed to,
Yeah.
And they was like, y'all got us to do this. Nah, man, you want some beans and rice? Because Javier, he bought his lunch in. We'll share it with you.
Oh, man. Well.
But, it's sad that it's happened all over again. It's really sad. But, as you know, being a minister in the gospel, the more we get away from God, the more hateful and mean we are right now around the world.
Yeah.
Not just in America. But, man, you got to come over here. Josh, fix me up, man, so I can listen to you guys for 2 hours. Help a blind brother out.
Man, I honestly wish I could, brother. But I do want to get you fixed up for real.
Yeah, we can do, Ray. We'll call you after the show.
Yeah, give me a call. Yeah, I love you guys, and I miss you, too. Bye-bye now.
Okay, take care, Ray. All right, that's Ray. He was living in New Jersey when he heard used to listen to us out of New Jersey.
Yeah, for the first time we were on the radio.
We on the radio. And then he moved down here and told us he was moving down and he wanted to listen to us. He was listening to us while we were at the other location. Now he, calls us from time to time and we've got to get him hooked up to how he can hear us now. And as a matter of fact, it's much better now than it was then, to be honest with you. But 901-213-6020 and other comments have come in, Josh?
Yeah, so a couple more. Jet says, sad that the term this season is appropriate when you're talking about season instead of this year. But yeah, I do understand that talking about the open season situation.
Call from
Greg.
Greg, welcome to the show. Good morning on a Monday.
What's up, G?
Good morning, people. How are you all this morning?
Doing well, man. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Interesting weekend.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons, yeah. Oh man.
For a lot of reasons. But quickly on the Fort Worth killing of that civilian.
Yeah.
Man, that's ridiculous right there. And, Ray kind of hit on something that I was thinking about. It's this fear thing. Because one thing that stood out to me more so than how quickly that guy fired that shot was the response. Was that SWAT? Was that SWAT that responded?
No,
it was regular Fort Worth police officer. From what we understand, a black guy saw the front door open the lady's home and was concerned and he really called the police department for a welfare check.
And now, Greg, do they do welfare? And anybody else listening, have y'all ever heard of where they park around the corner and do like a tactical?
Well, and see, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Their response was a bit odd.
Yeah, it was.
To me, Now, it could have been maybe because it was a time of so, I don't know what type of neighborhood that was. Because, I'd imagine in the starter fields and nut bushes and stuff like that, you get a welfare check call at 2:30 in the morning, they probably would have that type of response, too, I imagine.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that was just ridiculous, man, because I don't know what kind of threat assessment training that those officers have, but they failed in that right there big time.
Big time.
I mean, so, you know, unfortunately.
Greg, could it be, like you said, because of the neighborhood and they're going in there and this 2:30 or 2-something time?
Yeah, 2:25.
2:25 a.m. in the morning, and a person's door is wide open, and could it be that they were going into, they knew the area they were going into, and go with caution? And so was the officer threatened when he saw someone stand up in the window? And in the first place, what is he doing in the backyard? I don't know. I don't know. Greg, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that all falls into the response, you know, because they go to the door, then, you know, they move tactically around the side of the house. You know, I don't know. You know, the whole thing is ridiculous, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole thing is ridiculous, and you know, I just hope that, you know, when the family, you know, decides to, you know, how they want to proceed with the, you know, upcoming lawsuit and what kind of charges don't come up on the officer, I just hope they don't try something, you know, overcharge the officer and not get anything out of it. You know?
Right.
I agree. Now, I got to ask this, though. When it comes to the police, right, Greg, and as a black man as yourself, you know, and even Frankie kind of talked about it, and Jet is as well, looking at the comments. How do you feel about calling the police? Have these actions that have happened, not just recently, but over the past few years, and the rampant stupidity that's going on, it's kind of what I call it. But has that kind of, are you a little worried when you do call the police, or has it not changed your outlook on as far as that?
At this moment, I can't say, you know, because let's just say, for instance, if I'm at my house and I got a friend or relative that say they're drunk and acting up, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And or whatever, and having some type of issue, you know, I might be hesitant to call, you know, because my reason for calling is not to get them killed. You know, my reason to call them is just, you know, get some closure to the situation and bring everything down, not to have this person, you know, hauled off in a body bag.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, you know, yeah, I mean, I imagine it would make people more cautionary depending on the situation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, like I said, you call somebody just to, you know, help somebody out, and next thing you know, they're dead. And just like that, the gentleman that made the phone call to the police, you know, he says he's feeling guilty now, you know.
Yeah.
But should he feel guilty?
You know,
I can't imagine that.
Should he feel guilty, though?
He shouldn't, but I don't know how you wouldn't, because ultimately in your mind you're thinking, dang, I caused this person's death. You know?
Well,
but if I hadn't called them at all, you know, this person would be dead. That's exactly what he said.
Well, I mean, you know,
So
he didn't know what was going on at 2:25 in the morning either.
That's true.
You know,
and I would never blame.
Was the person in danger? Still, if the police hadn't have been called, was the person in the home in danger in the first place? I guess that's what he was thinking.
And see, I'm gonna tell you, the chain reaction to this is unbelievable. So now, not only do you have this guy, you know, feeling guilty for himself where he shouldn't have to, but you also have the thought, imagine if he sees something like that again. 9 times out of 10, he's not going to call the police when he probably should. And more people that see this on the news or whatever, all around the country and the world, they're not going to call the police as much as they would originally, because
they would be hesitant to anyway.
Yeah, because it's like, man, do I even want to get involved? You know, I may end up making the situation worse. See, and that's all because of the stupidity of certain police officers causes a chain reaction. I mean, it is what it is.
Right, and you got to wonder, I mean, this is going to have to come up too, you know, just like we said earlier when I first called, what type of neighborhood is this? You know, is there a reason there will be that much fear, you know, situation, you know? Now imagine had this been 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it might have been different. So on edge, you know? It's just all kinds of, you know, man, what ifs, and you probably could what if this, for infinity, but, the unfortunate result is somebody lost their life needlessly, ridiculous.
Yeah, but he didn't
But
announce.
I imagine that cop would probably be fired, the criminal charges, I can only see maybe negligent homicide out of it. Because, there was only one shot, they didn't shoot the house, all that's going to come into play. But, but somebody somewhere is going to have to deal with this fear that police have. They're going to have to deal with it some type of way. It's going to have to be across the nation.
I think that's something that they tell police officers or people that go out that want to be police officers. Don't just think it's something that they share with them. And do you know what you're getting into? You sure this is what you want to do? These are the consequences. These are the things that most people, when they become police officers, have in their mind.
But you know what they're going to say. The police, they're not going to say, well, you know what, I am too scared. They're going to say, no, I can handle it. And they probably think they can.
But they have psychologists interviewing these people beforehand. That think some of that stuff.
They should.
Some of that stuff is being missed, though.
Yeah, but probably situational things like this cannot. There's really no doctrine for every situation. There's a blanket doctrine for threat assessment, but for every situation, unfortunately, it's a totally individual. I don't know. Like I said, it's really sad and unfortunate. I just,
yes,
and be able to move forward healthy, mentally, especially the 8-year-old that was there.
Yes, indeed, you're right. Yeah, and then
that's probably who is going to be hard as on.
Yeah, right. Going to grow up thinking about what he saw. And then, Greg, you're talking about the people talking about the police officers should know what they're going through in psychology. Somebody, interviewing them before they get hired and that type of thing to tell what their mind is. But really, if a person is intentionally racist or prejudiced against black people or against white people or whoever they are, and they get hired, they may not even that they have some problem in their mind against, a fear or something like that, but they just want to get out there and then end up shooting black people, end up shooting white people, whoever if they're racist, you can't detect that. I don't guess through a psychological interview.
Well, a bona fide sociopath would probably pass that thing with flying colors.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Pass with flying colors because, there are people, that are on the force everywhere across the country. They have no business being police officers. Their whole intent, is probably to oppress. Whether they're white or black, because I ran into officers, that had, after, having dealings with them, that seemed to me they had no business being a police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree 1,000%.
I ran into them, but how, I don't know if they do any psyche valves beforehand anyway.
That's what I heard, though. Maybe Mike Williams.
Memphis, and I know Memphis, I think they...
Mike Williams, I think, said on our show some time ago, and I may be misquoting him, but Mike Williams, if you're listening, you can let us know if you're watching by Facebook or you're listening, you want to call in. But do they give evaluations to officers? I think he told us yes.
I'm going to tell you, whatever they do, especially in Dallas, Fort Worth, it ain't enough. I mean, come on. What in the world? Unless the psychs are psycho, then...
I imagine that psyche valve must go something like this. Hey, are you crazy? No? Okay, you good.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Oh, God.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Craziness, man.
But
Hey, man, you can call back if you want, because I know we're going to get to another topic here probably in the second hour about that we've gotten. I know some of y'all going to want to get in on this situation.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate y'all taking my call this morning, man, and I'm listening in as I can.
Awesome.
Hey, man, we appreciate you.
And look, I'm very glad that the Cowboys lost. I'm very, very happy.
Oh, come on.
Very happy. I just want all of y'all to know.
Well,
and you know what, though, Josh?
Yes.
There may be Cowboys fans that agree with your sentiment.
Really?
There may be Cowboy fans that are glad they lost too, because you know they want Jason Garrett gone.
Yeah, and you know, from all the talk, you know, if there's enough pressure, I mean, I ain't seen Cowboy Nation ready to fire somebody like this since Jason Garrett a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I am not in belief that they would fire him right now. I mean, we're 3 in a row. You can't. I don't know how you fire somebody. You went 3 in a row, then you lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
I don't know if that, you know. So I don't know. You know, I've been a Jason Garrett apologist for years, but I am not a Jason Garrett apologist or protector this year. Nope.
Okay.
I can't go with it. I'm ready for whatever they do myself.
All right, Greg, we heard you. We're going to see. Greg, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
Okay, man.
Yes, sir. All right, 901-213-6020. If you have comments or questions, you can leave your comments on Facebook about the police shooting in Fort Worth, Texas over the weekend. Was it weekend or was it Friday?
Yeah, I think it was Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
A black woman in her own home by a white police officer.
Mm-hmm.
He was called to the scene for a welfare check. At 2:25 a.m. in the morning, her front door was open. It seems to me that the storm door was closed, maybe locked or whatever, but the front door was open. Well, that is concern to why a person would have that door to their home open that time of the morning. But it was in her home, not an apartment, and the police was called.
Mm-hmm.
They parked around the corner, and I guess they walked up to the home. Instead of knocking on the front door and ringing the doorbell, they jumped her fence. And the police officer saw the woman. The woman said she heard footprint in the backyard, and she got up to check the window. And when she stood in front of the window, police officer says, what did he say?
I don't know.
Don't shoot or drop the gun or whatever.
Yeah, put your hands up.
Put your hands up is what he said.
Yeah.
Put your hands up. Shot.
Yeah, and you know what?
So he didn't. It wasn't even 1 or 2 seconds gone. He said, "Put your hands up." Pow! Shot the woman.
Insane. You know what?
Yeah.
I want to play, if we can, kind of pull up the story one quick time here.
Yeah.
One last time, for the people just coming in. If y'all want to, let them know what's happening here.
Pull it up. Yeah.
But yeah, just conversate, leading into the video.
And so we're gonna pull up this video and listen to it again at what happened in Fort Worth, Texas. A lot of you probably heard. Do you think they said that police officers probably were threatened? Do you feel these police officers were threatened? They were called there for a welfare check. I mean, in the first place, why would they jump the back fence? Why would they jump the fence in her backyard rather than checking the front door?
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
Normally,
and then shoot after saying, "Put your hands up," pow pow. Wasn't 1 or 2 seconds gone.
Gotcha.
And so let's take a listen to what happened, and then we'll get your comments.
By a Fort Worth police officer early this morning. Now, we know a lot of you have questions about this case, and we have been working all day to find out what we can. This story begins on the south side of Fort Worth on East Allen Avenue. That is where our Eric Alvarez is live tonight to walk us through what happened.
Well, friends and family are understandably outraged tonight. They are demanding answers. They are demanding justice for that young woman who was shot and killed here inside her own home by a police officer that was called here to see if she needed help.
Put your hands up. Show me your hands.
A welfare check gone horribly wrong. In this body cam footage released by the Fort Worth Police Department, you do not hear the officer identify himself as he passes a window and steps through a gate into the backyard. He then sees a figure in a window, draws his gun, and fires, less than 3 seconds after demanding to see the person's hands. That person is 28-year-old A. Tatiana Jefferson, who lived in the home with her 8-year-old nephew.
The family is understandably brokenhearted.
Attorney Lee Merritt, who spoke to Jefferson's family, says the pair were playing video games early in the morning.
And they heard someone creeping around outside. She went to investigate at the window. An officer was on the other side who shouted commands, and before she had a moment to respond, he shot her to death.
So how did this happen? Around 2:30 a.m. Saturday, Jefferson's neighbor noticed the door open and the lights on. He called a non-emergency line asking for police to perform.
I'm still kind of broken and shocked.
James Smith tells WFAA officers parked around the corner, arrived at the house with no lights, no sirens, and did not announce their presence. He called police so they would make sure Jefferson and her nephew were safe. He never expected police to put them in danger.
They tell me I shouldn't feel bad, but I feel bad because had I not called the police department, she would probably still be alive today. So I do feel a little weight on me for that, making that call.
Fort Worth police have not released the name of the officer, but describe him as a white man who has been with the department since April of last year. The officer has been placed on administrative leave. The department says all of the evidence will be handed over to the district attorney's office to see if any criminal charges will follow.
And that is exactly what friends, family, and neighbors are calling for tonight. I can tell you throughout the day, dozens of people have stopped by this house offering support to the family of that young woman, which they say had every right to be in her own home and posed no threat to that officer. Live in Fort Worth, I'm Eric Alvarez.
Eric, thank you. Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price sent out a statement in response to the shooting today, saying writing a statement like this is tragic and something that should never be necessary. A young woman has lost her life, leaving her family in unbelievable grief. All of Fort Worth must surround A. Tatiana Jefferson's family with prayers and support. Chief Krause and his command staff are acting with immediacy and transparency to conduct a complete and thorough investigation. More details are forthcoming, and the Tarrant County District Attorney Law Enforcement Incident Team Office will ultimately receive this case.
All right, what do you think? Was the police officer threatened? One point said the police officer may have been threatened, and he comes to the house on a welfare check and jumps the fence in the backyard. Why?
That man wasn't threatened by nothing but his own fears, in my humble opinion.
Well, I don't even know if he was fearful. Maybe he knew what area it was and who lived there, and just shot through the window. Why, put your hands up. Pow, pow. I mean, shoots and killed a woman in her own home, and, then she had a little nephew there with her. They were playing video games, and so, wow, here she ends up dead. Now, remind you that this is in Fort Worth, Texas, this is the 9th of an individual that the Fort Worth Police Department have shot this year. Kelly, welcome to the show. Good morning on a Monday.
What's up, Kelly?
Bob and Josh, what's going on? How y'all doing?
How about yourself?
I can't call it. It's getting to the point where you're not even safe in your own home no more.
Man, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, like I said, we just get through a situation with the lady in Dallas killing that young man. Then you go through something like this. I mean, out of all the places you're supposed to be safest at, home is the top one, and it's like these folks being killed in their own home. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And to hear that the Fort Worth police had been supposedly shot at 9 people this year alone.
Well, they shot 9. They shot
Chicago or L.A. Let alone Fort Worth.
Yeah, they shot 9 people, Kelly. They shot 9 people, and 7 of those people that were shot were killed. So I only had 2 of those people not killed.
I mean, that's a big number for a Chicago or Houston or New York.
Yeah.
And this little old Fort Worth. I mean, they got something going on down there. I mean, and the way the guy just bust up in the house and said what he said and went to shooting. I mean, it's just like one of the posters said on Facebook. It's like it's open season. It's like no matter what you do, for shoot first and ask questions later.
Well, now, do you believe it's open season? One person said, post on Facebook said there's open season on black people.
Frankie,
do you believe that's the case?
Well, you know, it's like they not giving you no choice but to think that way. I mean, you know, you in a situation like that, and it makes you want to say, you hope that's not what's going on, but you never know. That might be what's going on. You know, like I said, it's, you know, it's mind-boggling. It really is.
Let me ask you, Kelly, man. I know you've been watching the show a long time and everything, and how do you feel with all the stories, you know, we've covered over the years with different police situations, whether here or other places around the country? We keep seeing these things, you know, and now you're getting, you know, crazy stories where there's no threat. There's some situations where you can kind of see, you know, like, okay, maybe they're fighting with the police officer or running or something like that, even though that's not either. These situations, these are guys, like both of them, John, sitting at home eating ice cream on his couch. And, you know, in Fort Worth, this lady's playing video games with her nephew and hears noises outside. Before the police even identified themselves, and they never did before they shot her. Does that make you put any doubt in your mind as far as calling the police in more than you've had before? In a way, it kind of do, because it goes to a situation where, man, if you know, I might land up shot or in jail for something like that. So, you know, like I said, you know what you're gonna do, but you don't know what somebody else gonna do.
Right.
You know, in a situation like that. And the way, you know, history is given, is like it's probably safer if you handle it on your own a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I hear something out here, let me take care of it. Like I said, shoot first and ask questions later. Well, I thought, you know, you just never know it, but it goes to the point where, you know, you get in a situation like that, do you want to call the police? Because, I mean, you know, you're going to end up on the short end. You know, situations like this one and, you know, other prior cases. I mean, like, man, what do you actually do?
Yeah, and also, Kelly, the law that if you're in your home and somebody's outside, if you feel that they're breaking into your home, as long as they're still outside, you cannot shoot them.
Still outside. You can't shoot them unless
they're inside.
Threatening or they trying to attack you.
Right.
As long as they're on your property and you're not anything.
Yeah, even in Tennessee, if you feel threatened and they're still on the outside, you can't shoot them. You have to wait till they get on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either that or and then drag them in the house. You know, that's what folks are coming. You know, that's what folks are starting to believe. You know. I hear of a situation over there in Memphis some years ago where this guy was having his residence broken into.
Yeah,
and the guys and they charged him and made him move and all. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, these suspects got too many rights. You know, you do anything to them and they want to try and charge you for something, and you just making sure you good and your family good. But you know, it makes you shake your head like, well, man, you know, is this justice system really? You know, man, it needs work.
Major work. And then you know, this lady stepped to the window. She heard. Know why he was in her backyard in the first place. Should have knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, whatever. But she heard footsteps and she didn't shoot. I don't know what that law is in Texas about, but he shoots her not knowing who she was. He and then didn't even identify himself as a police officer.
Got me too. At least from the body cam footage.
Right.
Now I can't tell for certain, you know, because it's kind of shaky. But you see when he's looking in the window and when he shoots. Now, it looks like this blind window. You can't even really see nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe he saw like the shape of a body and just.
Well, that's all he could see.
I mean, that's insane. You know, I mean, man, craziness.
Yeah. Then they want to come out saying something that was looked to be, but that come in after the fact. You know, they never said that up front.
No,
that's, you know, and not saying it like want to justify. No, it was wrong.
That's the way. That's exactly.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Kelly, but that's exactly why I think Fort Worth should not be investigating this situation. Just for the fact that they're willing to put this bogus gun, and I'm willing to call it bogus. This gun, picture of a gun, said, well, we found this, but we don't know if she held the gun. They're not willing to commit to telling anybody whether she actually had it, but you're just going to show us a picture of a gun.
Well, was it a picture of a gun or was it an image of a gun?
It was, well, the image is a picture.
If you see a hand through a window, that's an image of a hand.
Yeah.
But did you see was it a hand?
That's a good point. Yeah.
But so, I mean,
they said an image. So that's
it's an image of a gun. I mean, so anyway, this guy, the chief of the police department, is going to be investigating why the officer did not announce himself as police.
Absolutely.
And I hope
because it seemed like when that chief was up there interviewing, he had some questions he wanted to ask. Why was certain things wasn't called when he arrived at the residence. So like I said, Fort Worth Police Department don't need to be investigating. It need to be something outside. Because like I said, they didn't had 9 shootings this year alone, and 7 of them fatal. I mean,
that's not good.
But man, I'm gonna hang up and keep Facebook, man. Y'all take it easy.
Kelly, thanks for the call.
Thanks, brother.
All right, 901-213-6020 is the number to call.
But we got to take a break, but there's a lot of comments coming in here.
Yeah.
And definitely want to read those when we come back from this quick break.
When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Your comments, we'll read your comments as well. And phone lines will open up 901-213-6020. What went on in Fort Worth, Texas? Was it right? Was it wrong? A black woman is killed. White officer shoots her. It started out as a welfare check. Black woman ends up dead in her own home. What's going on in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas? We'll be back after this. You're listening to Talk Back Live with Bob.
And Josh.
13 minutes, the hour, 9 o'clock. A very pleasant good morning to you on a Monday morning. If you're looking for some of the best old-fashioned burgers and steaks in town, Lotta Burger is the place to go for all of your favorites. Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And the items on their menu include single, double, triple burgers, Philly sandwiches, smoked sausage, beef hot dog, grilled cheese, tenders, fries, onion rings, and more. Call-in orders must be done before 11 a.m. No calls accepted after 11 a.m. Drive-thru is available. Hungry for a burger? Lotta Burger, 2260 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee, 901-946-2001. Don't just settle for any burger. Get a Lotta Burger.
Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Graphic Printing.
And welcome to the show, Talk Back Live with Bob. Yeah, plug your mic on. Yeah, okay. All right, welcome back to the show, Talk Back Live with Bob and Josh. It is now 9:15, 15 minutes past the hour, 9 o'clock Central Time, and a very pleasant good morning to you on a Monday morning. Yes, a lovely, wonderful Monday morning, starting your day off under mostly sunny skies, 46 degrees to start your day.
Yes, sir.
Whoa, it's chilly on the outside, folks, and but I tell you what, we have a great topic we're talking about today, and a lot of people are responding on Facebook and other places, and phone calls as well. And the phone line is open. Our phone line is open at 901-213-6020. If you want to express yourself that way, or on Facebook as well. Talking about the shooting by a Fort Worth police officer over the weekend, shot a black woman in her own home, and it started out a man called for a welfare check because he saw her front door open at 2:25 in the morning. A storm door, it seemed like to me, was closed, but he wanted to call police out to check on it. Well, police, instead of knocking on the door and going in through the front door and checking on things, or announcing themselves or saying something at the front door, they jump the fence and go in the backyard. The lady hears somebody footprints in the backyard. She's playing video games with her nephew, and so she steps to the window to see what she hears, and police officer says, put your hands up or something, and then immediately shoots and kill this woman in her own home.
And before we go any further, if you can, I know there's a lot of comments there, and I know there's some that I'm missing with my phone here.
Yeah.
Could you kind of go down some of the list there?
Okay, start off with Jet. He says, has a racial war begun, and black people hadn't caught on yet. Wow, Jet. That's pretty strong. Imagine China going to war with America physically, but for several days or weeks, America is taking missiles while trying to go about their lives as normal.
Yeah, meaning China shooting missiles at America.
Meaning that police officers killing black people, but go as normal and ignore it, I guess is what he's trying to say. All right, a Jet says also a welfare check, you want to be as visible as possible. That's true. No matter what community, but especially in a rough community. If you don't intend to kill someone, then you want all parties to see you. Good point. He also says, scared to death to call the police. I bet you that black guy that called will probably be the first of those people to be prosecuted. Wow. Like we've been asking them to. That's how it's been for us. Wow, I don't see how he would be prosecuted though by calling the police.
He ain't do nothing wrong.
I don't see how. You explain that one to me, Jed. But it's already been said that the police officer shot and killed the lady. So they might say the lady was already. Well, she could have been already dead, standing in the window, and he said to put your hands up. But at any rate, thanks for the comment. Frankie says, if the officers should have knocked on the door, identified himself. If there was no response, then the officer should have called for backup and waited for their arrival.
Agreed 100%.
Very, very good point, Frankie. All right, and Greg responds to Jet. And continuing on here, Jet says, you still can't fire that even if you were threatened. You have to identify the threat. Very good point. Goes on, comments, says, with Memphis now trying to hire officers outside of Shelby County, this will become a big problem right here. Oh, why would that be a big problem, hiring officers outside of Shelby County?
Now, I know, and that could probably be a topic tomorrow, and I know Jim Strickland is pushing to, I don't know if they've already done it, loosen the restrictions instead of just hiring people here.
Around locally, yeah.
Yeah, and they want to branch out, and hire people.
Wow, I got some things to say on that. That's a very good point there, Jed.
Yeah.
GKP says he wasn't that, got it? He wasn't that scared to walk by a window and not look through it at all, but then step into someone's backyard unannounced.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a real here, people. That's what GKP says.
Now, are you on Jet's comment now?
Jet, yeah.
Yeah, where it starts with H?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Jet says, isn't Dallas the place where we were supposedly losing all those new recruits to? That is true. I know Mike Lee was talking about that several times. That Dallas is one of the places that recruits people from Memphis. Going to the phone lines.
Yeah. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Bobby?
Yes, hello. Welcome to the show.
What show?
Did you call to talk on the radio
Well, clearly
show?
it doesn't sound like it, so we can hang up. Yeah. Sound like a telemarketer got caught.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't
All
mind
right.
saying. I mean, the dudes sound foreign, so hey, it is what it is.
Whatever.
Yeah. All right. So he was saying Dallas, the place where we were supposedly losing all of our new recruits to. Now we want to relax the residency rules so we can now win those officers.
Well, I mean, if they're being lost, they're being recruited right now in the Shelby County area. And if they're being lost to the Dallas area, then look what's happening in Dallas.
Yeah, that's what
I mean, is it good that we let those officers go? Because maybe here in Shelby County, we're picking up some bad seed. You know.
Well, what are you going to do? Like, what, we're going to start hiring them from Dallas? Or?
I mean, no, but from all over the place. If you loosen the residency, they can come from anywhere. But not just Dallas, but you know, hey, Shelby County is high in crime, and sometimes when you're hiring police, that's another topic though. Police officers, I mean, you could be hiring anybody.
I think
just because they're in good shape, they may be mentally stable, they may be this and that, and but you never know when you're hiring these police officers. You could be hiring a gang member just to be an or you know that could be going on.
That's
and
true,
I think that there are people in the police department here in Memphis that are crooks.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh yeah, they're big crooks. They're alerting the gang members. They're alerting the drug dealers. They're a part of it. That's why they become police officers to be an informant.
I
but
agree.
Anyway, that's another story.
I agree, but let me keep going because that might be for tomorrow.
Yeah.
The rest. But let's see. Frankie says, when I heard the wood door was open in this situation, that is, but the screen door was shut and the lights were on.
Right.
I believe they were probably letting some cool air in the house. Now, that's a thought, especially with the screen door closed.
Yeah, but Frankie.
I'm not sure how to help with that yet.
Yeah, but Frankie, at 2:25 in the morning. Wow. I mean,
well, maybe if it's hot, hey.
I mean, come on. Sounds like to me the house was pretty stable, had a pretty good house, and I'm pretty sure it sounded like to me she might have had air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
But to leave her door open at 2:25 in the morning, first of all, you're not only asking for trouble from the police, you're asking for trouble from anybody that could be walking by in the neighborhood, or they're just a thief, you know, leaving your door open. But I don't have a thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
First of all,
I mean, I wouldn't do it.
No, absolutely.
I mean, just, you know.
Yeah, but
anyway.
I mean, you know, but that doesn't say that this gives an excuse
anything, no.
for anything that have gone down, and then for this police officer to do what he did.
Definitely.
That doesn't give any excuse for that at all. Yeah, 901-213-6020. Yes, Josh.
Another one here immediately after that was from Jet, who says, even that's for white people. If you drag them into the house, this is after Kelly talking about shooting them outside, dragging them in.
Oh, God.
If you drag them, they'll test the blood splatter. In your case, But if you're white, they'll call it open and shut and won't even investigate. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
They'll even advise you on what to say if you're white. Oh, man.
Oh, gosh. That's not good, Cat.
Hey, I don't know.
But
I
you
don't
shoot
know.
a person outside, you know, I'm pretty sure there'll be some blood on the outside. Then you drag them inside, they're bleeding.
The
It's
trail.
all drug trail. Yeah, that, I don't know. Who said that earlier? Kelly?
Kelly, yeah.
Yeah. But, that may not work, you know, but in Tennessee you have to, you know, well, there is something called a curtilage.
Yeah.
Curtilage law, where if a person is breaking your window in and they're in your window coming in, they've not made it in yet, but they're coming in and you know they are, then that's a curtilage law, which is very, very thin, fine line there.
Yeah.
It's possible that you could shoot and injure them or whatever the case may be, you know, in that particular case, and they have not completely made it all the way in. But now, in most cases in the state of Tennessee, a person is breaking into your home, you know they're breaking in, they say you have to wait till the person get inside your home.
Get all the way in.
Before you can shoot.
Past that curtilage line.
Yes. Is that crazy or what? I think that law totally needs to be changed. And you can't shoot and kill a person if they're outside in your yard stealing your car.
Well, I mean, now...
No. For any
I know.
what you call
any crime.
For stealing any product of your, well, not product is the word I'm looking for, but any
property.
Yeah, property. Any property. Then, from what I understand, that if somebody's stealing it outside, you can't shoot them on the outside for stealing your property.
I mean,
you have to go out and say, "Excuse me, can we talk about it for a minute?" Or, you know, or do you really want this? But you know, this is mine. I really,
I'm just saying,
really
like,
don't appreciate you taking
shoot,
it.
I get that, but would you shoot at somebody? You know, and I remember we had this debate a long time ago. But would you shoot at somebody that's stealing your car?
No.
Well, I know, but like, would you? Like, I mean, what people out there, would you do it? Like, is that something worth shooting somebody for?
Would you? Yeah, that's the question we asked. Would you shoot someone trying to steal your car? You know they're breaking into your car, but you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your property, but they have to be inside, and your life have to be threatened. You have to wait for they break inside your home before you can shoot. Now that's Tennessee. Now if it's changed, we're going to get an attorney on and somebody from the police department, maybe Sergeant Chris Richardson, about this. But we'll get the information on this and get somebody to talk to concerning that. 901-213-6020. Yes.
One more comment here. GKP says, at the end of the discussion, we know it's going to be...
Did you read Jet's one where he's dragging into the house? Oh, yeah. Okay, you did.
That's what started the conversation.
Okay, yeah.
At the end of all this discussion, we know it's going to be whatever they want it to be.
Okay.
Very sad, but as we've seen in most cases, true. Another one of us bites the dust. Rest well, Atiana Jefferson.
Okay. Welcome all you guys, Reginald, and checking in with us. Give your comments there on Facebook, or you can call us 901-213-6020. Yes.
I almost wonder, we got about 30 minutes left. Do you want to get this next one in? Or
I don't know about it yet. This situation out of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas this time, but it's Dallas, Fort Worth, the same location, where the officer was shot in his apartment, his own apartment, by a Dallas police officer, thinking that was her apartment. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we have in Fort Worth, Texas, which is a part of Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex.
Yeah.
You have a Fort Worth police officer called to the scene on a welfare check. Someone's concerned about something may be going on. Okay, they approach the house. They don't drive to approach the house, and they don't check at the front door. They jump the fence. The officer jumps the fence, And then the lady heard footsteps outside. Her and her nephew were playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
She steps to the window to see what's going on, and the police officer says, what? Put up your hands, or and then shoots immediately after he says, put your hands in the air. Didn't identify who he was. Didn't say, hey, I'm a Fort Worth police officer. We're out here checking. You need to put your anything. He didn't even give time. Through a window, didn't see the person at all, but assumed, I guess, that this was somebody that was in the home that had threatened the person, and shoots through the window and kill this black female in her own home. What do we do about this? What needs to be done about this? And some people declare that there's a war, a race war with police officers on black people. Is there? Did this police officer know that this was 9 times out of 10 a black person in the home? Why would you shoot through a person's home through a window at someone, not knowing clearly who it is? It doesn't make sense to me. Most of the time, police officers want to know. I would assume they want to know. I mean, this is not anything I don't think this is the way that they train them. That if you see a shadow in a window, shoot to kill, or shoot at for any reason.
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. But I'm gonna tell you real quick. I had the other story here as well. We can go over real quick with the police department's comments.
JKP has a statement here. He says they can mess with my 1999 Lexus, and I'm bussing cap. Whoa, JKP. Oh, God, you know I can't say that. In that dollar sign. A with a couple of dollar signs.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I think we get the picture.
Yeah, I got the picture. All right.
Cash money.
Yes.
Hey, but here's the story. Here's from the Fort Worth Police Department, and this is from the Fort Worth News.
Yes,
ABC affiliate down there.
News.
Well, another police shooting in North Texas is making national headlines. An officer in Fort Worth shot and killed a woman in her own home. Welcome to WFAA News at 5:30. I'm Chris Lawrence. The community is demanding answers for Tatiana Jefferson's death. And in the last 30 minutes, Fort Worth PD updated us on the investigation. WFAA's Bradley Blackburn joins us live. Bradley, kind of wondering why because they didn't provide very much information.
Chris, this press conference was far shorter than we imagined, just a couple minutes long, and many of the facts that they went over they had already shared in a press release that was put out yesterday. But this was the first time that this department has appeared before cameras following the incident, and they did confirm a few important things. First, they said they confirmed what the family's attorney had already told us, that Tatiana Jefferson's 8-year-old nephew was with her in the room when she was and killed. And they also confirmed that when officers arrived at that home for a welfare check, they did not announce their presence. They did not verbally say that they were police. Police did release the body cam from this incident yesterday, and it shows the responding officers looking through an open door and going along the side of a building. And then that moment, just less than 2 seconds, when the officer gave his verbal command and then pulled the trigger. But at no time did he say who he was, and he never said that he was police. Police did tell us that happened, and why this officer felt threatened will be addressed during an investigation. Let's listen to some of what Fort Worth Police told us just a few minutes ago.
The officer observed a person through a rear window in the residence and fired a shot at that person. The officer did not announce that he was a police officer prior to shooting. What the officer observed and why he did not announce police will be addressed as the investigation continues.
there are more questions than answers at this point. Fort Worth Police wrapped up this press conference pretty quickly. Initially, they had told us they weren't even going to take questions today, but then they opened the floor for questions. I did ask if they could explain why this officer felt threatened, if he had been threatened with a gun in any way. The department released 2 images of a weapon they say was found in the home, but police declined to answer my question as to why they released those images of the gun if they can't say whether the officer was threatened with it. Now, they wrapped it up quickly, but they did say that the police will appear at a press conference tomorrow to answer additional questions. The officer involved in this is also scheduled to be interviewed by the major case unit tomorrow. So we are hoping to be able to ask more questions and get more answers from Fort Worth Police. But again, to confirm what they told us, the limited amount that they told us in this press conference today, this officer never explained who he was before he pulled the trigger. And we know that Tatiana Jefferson's 8-year-old nephew was with her when she was shot and killed. Chris, back to you.
All right, Bradley. Yeah, that little boy is okay. And hopefully by tomorrow we get this officer's name. Thank you.
All right. And what they mean by tomorrow, they're saying tomorrow, they're talking about Monday, today. So there's going to be a press conference today by the chief of police. Also, he's going to talk about why he's concerned why the officer didn't introduce himself as a police officer, Fort Worth police officer, before shooting. And also they're going to talk about some other things as well during this press conference. 901-213-6020, and your comments on Facebook are welcome as you're leaving your comments there as well. Do you think this officer now listen to this. Do you think this police officer, Fort Worth police officer, should be charged with murder? Do you think that it will go that far, or possibly could it go that far, that this officer could be charged with murder? I mean, why would you say, put your hands up, pow, pow, or whatever, and shoot without introducing yourself as a Fort Worth police officer? And the lady was already concerned by hearing footsteps outside her door.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, she gets up. She has a right in her own home to get up and to check and see what's going on. Now, I'm not sure. It seems to me, Josh, by the body cam that was on the officer as he was in the window, right? Seems like that window didn't have any curtains to it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm still 100% sure.
It didn't seem like to me. I don't know if anybody else saw that or not. It seems like to me that window didn't have any curtains. And if it didn't, then he saw who the lady was. And may have seen them playing video games. If the woman came to the window, he should have seen her if there were no curtains to the window, that she was a black female.
And you know what's so disturbing?
And it didn't see that she was in any trouble or anything like that. He could have seen that. And that to me,
Or especially if there wasn't any danger to him.
Any danger to him,
because one, it's late at night, you know. And you know what's another thing that's irresponsible about this? I'm just kind of realizing, hearing this, that the nephew was in the room.
Yeah.
So this little boy's in the room that he's shooting in. So this could have been a lot worse.
Now, if there were no curtains to that window, and the video officer's body cam this, and he could see what's going on in the room, that the lady was not in any threat, and she comes to the window, and he sees who she is, and then he said, put your hands up, pow, pow, and start shooting, knowing that she didn't have anything in her hand. Why asked to put her hands up, and then she was checking what was going on in her backyard.
Exactly.
And there were seems to me that there were no curtains up to that window. Now, I'm just saying, he could have seen, if there are no curtains to that window, he could have seen who was in the room. She was not in any threat, and she was no threat to him. And could have seen the little boy in the room. They were playing video games. If there were no curtains to the window, then she probably come to the window, on her way to the window to check. He shoot and kill her just by saying, put your hands in the air and then shoot immediately. You know, and you see the black woman, you see that she is there's no threat to her life or anything. Why shoot the woman? Why? It doesn't make sense to me. Should this officer, if this is the case, should this officer be charged with murder? And should he be fired immediately? Well, I think that did one report say he was on leave pending the investigation.
Yeah, I think they're doing the standard thing with him, if I'm not mistaken.
But the chief is concerned. To me, now I don't know. Maybe it sounded like to me. I don't know how it sounded to someone else. There has been 9 police shootings. Fort Worth police have shot 9 people this year in this particular type of style situation. Out of those 9 people that the Fort Worth police shot, 7 of them have been killed. Mm-hmm. So maybe the chief is a little bit concerned now, saying, hey, we need to check this out. This is not looking good for the police department. And so now he comes out and say, we will investigate. This will be a part of the investigation as to the officer not introducing himself. Why didn't he introduce himself?
And he asked the right question.
So,
he did. But
he may be concerned now, really, about what this officer did. And really, the chief may be really willing here to really take some sincere action on this officer for this particular shooting because,
I'm going to tell you.
I don't know.
To your point, that I agree with the fact, just the very fact that the chief is willing to bring that up as a question to the media, that clearly must mean, and the way he phrased it, maybe it's just me, the way the chief phrased it in the press conference, it seemed like he really had that question on his mind. You get what I'm saying? It really seemed like that was an honest question that he had. It wasn't like he was fronting. Right. He was trying to present a front to the media.
Right.
It honestly seemed like he really
was concerned.
Wanted to know. At least that's what I'm picking up. Now, what happens after that, we'll see, because he's ahead of this investigation right now. And I know they said the district attorney's office is going to be involved as well.
And I don't think he's going to take it easy on his investigation.
I hope not. He can't afford to.
Call from
Vincent.
Vincent, welcome to the show. Good morning on a Monday.
Hey, how you doing, Bob? Josh?
Doing well. How about yourself,
Doing
sir?
swell.
Swell?
Not swollen. Not swollen.
I don't know about swell. That kind of bothers me.
Yeah,
anyway, I don't know if that's a swole up head or swole up head. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No.
Okay, well, anyway, I'm calling about the lady that got shot by the police.
Yes, sir.
You know what?
Yeah.
The Bible said in the Old Testament, eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. It's time for some death penalties for some police officers that would shoot somebody without following the complete protocol. If he didn't come in announcing that he was the police, determining that he was threatened by someone, he should die too. That to me, that's a problem.
Wow.
That's a problem. And I know I'm a Christian, but you deserve the right to continue to live, and you didn't follow all the steps. If he did not announce that he was a policeman, that's a problem for me.
And that's the way I feel
that's
too,
a great
Vincent.
Point.
You know what, Vincent? I am just like you.
Nobody's
and if a police officer, whoever they may be, someone, then you need to be electrocuted, or put in front of a firing squad with 7 weapons, and then when they say
7,
fire, all 7 weapons shoot off at you. I mean, whatever the case, I think he should die too, because I mean, you go and take an in life, but yet you're supposed to be the people that people count on to protect them. And this is not right.
So guys, we're saying essentially that there's not enough accountability for people that do this type of thing, because like Vincent said, this is a life being taken. This should be more than just getting fired.
Yeah.
Fired in 10 years in prison or nothing like that. That's not, from what I understand, this young lady was some sort of a student or something in
Yeah.
pharmacy or whatever. She was also a caregiver for her mom who's sick, and you know she was had a very major role in her family.
Wow.
And that's a devastating blow.
It is.
More than devastating. And the fact that he came in and did not announce that he was the police is egregious as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he jumped. He got over a fence, Vincent. Instead of going in the front door, he jumped the fence and saw the lady through the window.
Through the window, yeah.
And to me, it don't look like any curtain was up on the window. And he was able to see the woman and that she was not in any danger, and then that she wasn't a threat to him. And then he shoots through the window and says, "Put your hands in the air!" Pow! Just shoots after he says that without, like you said, introducing himself as a police officer, so she can know what's going on outside her window after she heard footsteps outside her window. What is he doing in the backyard over her fence? It doesn't make sense to me.
The nephew was the boy, which is so sad in all of this. The nephew was there.
Yeah.
So he saw, it's like, so.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know what? Until our various police departments all over the country began to give stiff punishment, and the law gives stiff punishment to people who do that, some of these individuals will feel like they have liberty to do that and be okay, and it's something got to be done about that. That cannot continue to happen. Like the young lady that shot the guy in his own apartment eating ice cream,
Right.
She thought that he was in her apartment. There's no way you're going to make me feel like you walked into your own apartment thinking that guy was in your apartment eating some ice cream. That's a criminal wouldn't be sitting in your own apartment eating ice cream.
That's a joke. That don't make any sense.
A joke.
And Vincent, let me ask you this to that point right now. I asked a couple other people. I'll ask you: does this make, as a black man yourself, does it make you hesitant to call the police when it happen, or does that not really change your feelings?
It doesn't make me hesitant to call the police. It depends on the situation. Like if I felt like somebody was breaking in my house or whatever, yeah, that's a natural tendency to do that. But at this point, we all need to have our own guns. Like I told my son-in-law, okay, when they made your gun, they didn't stop making them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The manufacturer did go out of business. So maybe we should have that. But no, I have a disdain for that type of process, and I have a further disdain that the law is not taking into consideration what the punishment should be for these individuals that are trigger happy. I mean, I understand that being a policeman within itself is a hard job.
Yeah.
For those who are good cops, it's a very difficult job. I've had relatives who have given me some complete horror stories about what it's like to be a cop. But by the same token, you are responsible to follow protocol on your job, just like I'm responsible to follow protocol on my job. As a school teacher, I can't go grabbing kids the way I want to when they act crazy. I mean, there's a certain way that you have to do certain things.
Right.
Or else I'm going to be held accountable. And if you can go in and take a life without following all the steps that are necessary to follow, then, I'm, like I said, I don't want to see nobody else die, but by the same token, in this particular case, he's the stiffest punishment allowed under the maximum of the law. And some poopa jury don't need to give him no 5 to 10 years. That should not happen.
Yeah, see, that was I think that's why so many people are upset with the Amber Geiger trial. Where she got 10 years, could probably get out in 5 or 6 with parole.
She went and shot somebody, and she wasn't in the right place where she should have been. So therefore, it's like, okay, she was kind of threatened. Well, she was someplace she shouldn't have been in the first place. And this officer here, the fence in the back through the window, should have just knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, or if the door was open, yelled through the door or whatever.
You know what? And even and not to go back to Amber Geiger too much, but I have to say this. With with the whole thing with the Bible and the brother and all that stuff that went on, the judge coming and hugging her, and all of that stuff, I think would have been more understandable if
she got 30 years.
Yeah. at least, because now, because I'm still thinking about that. I can't even lie. And not only with all of this, the judge hugs her, and guess what? She only got 10 years. Guess what she's doing? attorneys are appealing that sentence.
The 5 years, what you call 5 years of possibly probation after 5 years. They're
fighting that.
They're fighting that. So
I mean,
hey, what are they trying to tell us? It's legal. It's okay to kill black folks. It's okay. So she shouldn't have gotten anything for
You
that.
get a hug in the Bible. So.
Yeah, well, I can see the guy wanting to forgive her because if he doesn't forgive her, that bitterness is going to eat him alive.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I have no problem with that.
I can see him, but I don't know if it was the appropriate thing for the judge to give her the Bible in court like that because the judge is supposed to represent, just the law. Mm-hmm. Even though as a Christian, I understand what she was technically doing. I don't know if she was grandstanding or not. I'm not here to judge that. But, Josh, I do want to make one other comment before I go.
Go ahead.
It's Monday morning. I'm off work this week, and I have not seen one cowboy flag, I haven't seen a star in the last 48 hours, man. I tell you, it's been a pleasant sight for sore eyes, man.
Oh, hasn't it been? It's been wonderful.
The sun is shining a little brighter this morning. You know what I'm saying?
I got started to put on Facebook. Are y'all still them boys asking for a friend? But the thing about it is, I think it's a coaching issue with.
I agree.
That's what I think.
Jason Garrett he's gotten the pass forever, and funny, Cowboy Nation has completely flipped on him after starting the season, heading to the Super Bowl. Now they're ready to fire everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you what I think part of the problem is. I think, and it may sound like a homie, but I think they're not using Tony Pollard enough.
You know what? It seems like after the preseason ended, and there was one game he played really well in the regular season. I think it's only one game he got any real time, and after that, it's like, okay, well, you can sit back down.
Well, see. I think it is. Now, this is my personal opinion for what it's worth. Hey, Ezekiel Elliott, all that money, after Jerry Jones made that little sly remark about Ezekiel who, when he made that remark. Mm-hmm. But now that Ezekiel is back and playing, I think they're kind of like, well, if we play Tony Pollard too much, that's not going to justify Ezekiel Elliott's salary. Mm-hmm. So we got to get more out of him. But in actuality, what we do is use the versatility of Pollard to accentuate the overall. Because even yesterday, Amari Cooper, I think he caught one pass for 3 or 4 yards. Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm thinking, like, how do you do that? How does this guy go from having 2 games with 200+ yards to 1 game with 1 catch for 3 yards? Now, it's something going on with that, and to me, that something is coaching.
That's a great.
I'm not a Cowboy fan, but it's something that's totally wrong. You are not supposed to lose to the winless Jets.
Hey,
now,
Lord. Vincent, you're getting a lot of hate on Facebook. They want us to hang up on you.
No, we can't do that.
Cowboy fans are getting in an uproar. Wondering.
But see, you know what? That's why I said what I said, because they are too emotional. They don't want to face the facts. I'm gonna say this. Maybe this will make them feel better. They have too much talent to lose to the Jets. They have too much talent to lose 3 games in a row. They should not be in this position, and it's all about coaching. If you want to hate me for that, go on and hate me. If y'all gonna go to the Super Bowl, you're gonna be going through Gate 5, Section 23, rows 42 and 43, because you're not going to be playing on the field.
That's true. I actually agree. I agree, because I think they're the team is good, man.
Wait a minute, John. I didn't know Jet was a Cowboy fan.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately.
Wow, man, I feel sorry for him. I really didn't know that. God, Jet, I'm really surprised this morning.
Should we block him on the page?
Wow, KP. He said, "Who's that guy? Who is this guy?"
On the phone. And he also says, "Next caller."
Next caller.
Hey, Josh. Josh, I'm finna really hit him low. I'm not a singer, but I got this little song I'm gonna sing. Mama didn't a Cowboy fan, a Cowboy fan. Mama didn't raise me a Cowboy fan, and she was very wise.
Oh no!
Oh man!
I can't believe I can't. They're going to be at us now. Why did we allow that?
Hey,
I'm gonna make a song. I'm gonna make a CD. I'm gonna make a CD on that. That's gonna be a national hit. Mama been raising a Cowboy fan.
Hey,
you know what?
Can we use that as something to go to the break on? Or?
Yeah, we need.
Whatever. It ain't copyrighted. It's just something I thought about. So anyway, listen. Y'all be good, man.
Hey,
I'll talk to y'all later.
Hey,
Thanks,
Vincent,
man.
now they're going to be asking me for your address. I don't know if
No. No, you're safe. You're safe with us. You're safe with us. Okay.
Well, you know what? The fact that somebody would even think to say that, that's the problem with Cowboy fans. They talk all that smack, and then when they have to go through the pain, they want to get mad and get sensitive.
Oh.
That's why people mess with them all the time, because they get so sensitive about losing. I mean, you know. So anyway.
Wow. Okay.
I'll talk to you later. I got to read the comments about this controversy.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Okay, man.
Okay, bye-bye.
All
right, that is Vincent, a.k.a. Cowboy Hater.
Cowboy Hater, wow.
2.0. Always welcome.
Why does he hate the Cowboys? But anyway.
Well, y'all ain't seen nothing. Sports is going to be very entertaining
2 o'clock
later on.
to 3 this afternoon. And, wow, I did not know that Jet was a Cowboy fan.
Yeah, man.
He says, "Go back, Josh. I've been on Garrett,
who's the head coach of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever complimented him sarcastically, but boo that fool. Send me a notification when he gone." Greg says, "Too much talent with this team." Now, Greg is not a Cowboy fan, is he?
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
They're everywhere, I'll tell you.
Oh, God.
I think Verdell is, too, actually. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Verdell?
they're all over us. I know.
Wow. Stick to your day. But at least the boys scored. Greg says.
Oh, no.
At least they scored.
They're coming after my Titans.
Yeah.
Titans lost 16-0.
Well.
Yeah.
I don't know, Josh.
I'm going to say something later.
GKP says, already got it.
You got that? Oh, no, man. Oh, y'all pulling up on people.
Safe yet?
Yeah, it's safe now.
It's safe yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, thanks for your comments and thanks for all your phone calls today on the show. And situation, our prayers. Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas area. Man, it's sad to hear that type of stuff that's going on, man. And, hey, you never know what's going on, but be careful. And
stay prayed up, people.
Yes, and be blessed today. Thanks for joining us. And Josh will be back at 2 o'clock this afternoon with TalkBackLive Sports.
That's right.
And,
and shout out to, there's a comment I'm in on, one of the watch parties I started in a group here.
Okay.
Don Brazel.
Don Brazel?
Yeah, it's the first time watcher
yes.
here. Says he failed to follow protocol and endangered the life of others for welfare.
That's true.
He said it would have been interesting. It would be interesting to check his record to see if he's been in that resident before.
Ooh,
that's interesting as well.
Yeah.
Then he talks about, lastly, the judge gave a young man 10 days for missing jury duty. So like I said, comparing that to Amber Geiger getting 10 years, and that young man didn't get any mercy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, we'll wait today in the press conference by the chief of police of Fort Worth. Man, wonder what's going to come out of that, and we'll be listening to that coming up as well. All right, Josh, it's been a pleasure, folks, for you joining us today. We're out of here, and we'll talk to you later on. Josh will see you this afternoon, 2 to 3, TalkBackLive Sports, and we'll see you tomorrow. And maybe later on today and Breaking Bread this afternoon, maybe I'll have something to share with you coming up this afternoon. Jet, everybody in Dallas getting killed too soon. Yes. All right. Hey, folks, we're out of here. Have a wonderful day today. And we'll see you next time. It is now 10 o'clock. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
tired of going to the doctor with the same issue over and over again and never getting any relief? Are you tired of buying all types of vitamins and supplements, hoping but not knowing for sure that they will keep you healthy? Or are you getting enough of the right kind of nutrients that your specific body needs? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you need a nutritional blood analysis. With a nutritional blood analysis, we can take one drop of blood from a prick of your finger and analyze your body's nutritional needs, nutritional deficiencies, and nutritional imbalances. This analysis can provide an early warning of possible future health challenges so you can make the changes now to avoid the negative outcome. A nutritional blood analysis can be used to monitor a health challenge before and after adopting an approach to restore health and balance. It will also allow you the ability to determine the effectiveness of various approaches to restoring and balancing your health. So don't wait. Make your appointment. Stop guessing with your health. Know what works for sure. 901-602-7063.
Big Graphic Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all: color copy, resume, funeral program, rubber stamp, full color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30 plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. Big Graphic Printing.
CJU's Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJU's Appliances have the best prices in town. Sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks will tell you they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJ Used Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranty. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJ Used Appliances. C&S Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Southern Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. C&S Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris Day for some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at C&S Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778. 2508 Southern Avenue, C&S Motors Auto Sales.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, here to explain the Tennessee Hands-Free Law, which is a new state law effective July 1st, 2019. In Public Chapter 412, it makes it illegal for a driver to hold a cell phone or a mobile device with any part of the body, to write, send, or read any text-based communication, to reach for a cell phone or a mobile device in a manner that requires the driver to no longer be in a seated driving position or properly restrained by a seatbelt, to watch a video or a movie on a cell phone or a mobile device, and to record or broadcast video on a cell phone or a mobile device. So, can I still talk on my cell phone while driving? Yes. A driver is permitted to use an earpiece, headphone device, or a device worn on a wrist to conduct a voice-based communication. The driver may use one button on a cell phone or a mobile device to initiate or terminate voice communication, and voice-based communication may also be used to send a text message. Learn more at handsfreetn.com.